Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to, well, Shifting Melodies by Thaddeus Zero. Chapter 8 Dethrone a Queen. And I beg your pardon if I have been late with this chapter, but damn, I have been sick and I've been working, looking for work, and everything else. But anyway, I'm back to doing Shifting Melodies. Chapter 8. The sun has barely risen before the solid knock came from the front door. It sounded impatient. Ledger slowly came to and calmed down from his interverse the one notch of terror at the unfamiliar scene. He has been cuddling Midnight in her own room. Eggroll. Everything was fine, and more than fine. With a quick shake of his to get his head back in order, Ling disguised himself before moving to answer the front door. "Who is it?" he called out. "Your sister," the voice called back. "Care to let me in for a moment?" Ledger was puzzled for a moment before his brain booted up. "Sure, I can do that," he answered, not even bothering to go to the door and open it from afar with his magic. "I'm going to get some coffee made in the meantime," he informed the already disappearing into the kitchen. "Sounds good," Naru said as she walked in. "Can I get to go to war happy if I have a belly full of good coffee?" She looked around, nothing obscene from familiar faces. "Is she here?" "Her room," Lydia said with a nod, that Naru could see it. "Maybe she'll wake up when she smells the coffee. Maybe not. She's really taking to the whole being dead thing. A chance to be lazy for once, I see." Naru actually laughed. "Well, can't blame her, really. And this is a good opportunity, actually." She walked into the kitchen, standing in the doorway as she could face the unicorn. "Now, you remember how today is gonna work, yes? You keep Toll distracted while we target all of her extra facilities simultaneously. Hmm?" The unicorn standard said, watching his coffee pot. Uh, Quite a few picture line as well, depending on the situation. Let's just hope she doesn't turn completely unreasonable. Otherwise, well, I may have to get confrontational. Hmm. That, Ledger said as he thought about the situation, sounds bad. The only thing that could completely duck having any paper trail like that, Ledger trail off, not liking the situation she just described. "I know," she answered. "I have my own suspicions that she might be considering herself with changelings. I hope I'm wrong, though." She sighed and removed a long, heavy-looking box from her back, snuggling it onto the couch. "This is for Midnight. Came by royal courier this morning. Don't know what sits inside, but I can't levitate it. Magic seems to fizzle out when I try." "Anti-magic gear of some sort," Ledger observed, keeping an eye on it and his distance, while not looking like he was. "Perhaps to deal with any other unicorns. Toll herself, or actually, do we know if it works on a changeling disguise?" The coffee was done, and Lever poured 2 cups out, before passing one to Naro, taking a sip of the other. His eyes widened as he realized he had taken the wrong cup. The one without sugar in it. Nero sipped her coffee, almost spitting it out straight. Good gravy! How much sugar is this in this thing? She asked. No wonder you're nervous wreck sometimes. You should really cut back. He actually said with a smile. Yeah, I'm sort of used to drinking this way. He took her cup and dumped the content, pouring her another, putting 2 sugar cubes in a cup now. It's not that bad when you get used to it. Now about my earlier question. Huh? Oh, the changeling thing. I don't really know. Nero said that as he sipped his drink, sighing happily. It's not what we have any test on it. And we're taking a break here. I'm reading a book. I'm reading fan fiction. You're welcome to sit and listen and be happy. Yes. And welcome back. I'm reading on Discord on the Ibis Forest. If you're wanting to listen to it live, you're welcome to sit in the server voice chat and just listen while I'm reading. Back to the story. She glanced at the clock and sighed again. This one more in exhaustion, and they hadn't even started yet. Thanks for the coffee, but I need to get going. Have a lot to coordinate, and a little time to get done. As she headed to the door and paused. Oh, and one last thing. Yes? Ledger asked as he sipped his coffee. Ah, just a walk. Just the way I like it. Midnight will be your first and last line of defense on this, she said in a low tone. She stays out of sight unless you want to get in deep and need help. But if push comes to shove and your lives are in danger. She paused for a second. She was making a decision on an unknown question. Tell her she is authorized to use her lyrica. Okay, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. Ledger said as he raised an eyebrow. I mean, that incident a while ago. I was sending a message. The one only reason I took so long. I can hold on my own, as long as nobody gets the drop on me. And believe me, I will be extra paranoid today. Very well, just keep that in mind. Nara nodded. She opened the door and paused. Stay safe, you two, she said quietly, and the door closed, leaving the stallion alone in the room. Ledger polished his drink off and waited for the smell to rouse his roommate and dearest friend, Midnight Song, who looked at the box before looking away, shaking his head. It was for an anti-magical, two things he didn't want to combine. It didn't take much longer for said mare to rise from her fluffy grave. She moaned incoherently and stumbled into the room. She saw level and raised herself on her hind legs, raising her forelegs toward him. Ah, she moaned in a deep, low tone. Ledger chuckled and waved a cup of coffee under her nose. Instead, hoping to at that very least distract her. The mare gave a single sniff and dropped to her hooves, snaring the mug in a single sighing contently. Her, my one true love, always there to greet me with a smile of warm heart. What? There goes. I guess I give up now, the unicorn said with more than a bit of snark and a faked hurt. I just found a way to animate my coffee. Give it to a pony farm, and two of you can run off together and leave me alone. That would be wonderful, seeing as my cuddlebug isn't here, she sighed wishfully. Then she spied the box on the couch and her mouth open in a question. What's in that box? Something anti-magical. Delivered via royal courier to the guard station for you. Ledger replied, still slightly hurt. He wore disguised for a reason. Oh, here, she said as she flew over to him and gave him a hug. You know I love you, silly. Meh, yeah, I do. I feel it. Ledger admitted, before pointing at the box with a hoof. So, he asked, gonna open it? Midget nodded and let him go, flittering over to the strange box. It was long and rectangular, and Midnight gasped when she saw the label. The box lid suddenly flew open and packing foam sprayed all over like snow on Harp's warming eve. A moment later, she was holding two deep purple-black blades, slightly translucent and giving off a very faint hum. Da 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 da, she cried. Nita has gained a new toys. That reference. Did they come with instruction manual? Ledger asked from a safe distance anyway. What, or what he thought was a safe distance anyways. No need. I know what they are, she agreed manically. These are anti-magic star metal blades. Ooh, I always wanted some, but the materials are super rare and there's only a hoofful of ponies that can even make the craft of them. So, the correct question aren't are what they do, but rather where did they come from, along with how did they get here and why? Estelle asked. Well, it looks like Daddy sent them, she said, reading the small note that was inside the box. And overnight by a royal courier. As for why, well, I assume that much is obvious. Let's do a small test before I go out for the day, Letty said as he extended a hoof in her direction. Touch me with one. I want to know something. She paused for a moment and nodded. Gently pressed the flat of the blade against his extended leg. There was a gentle ripple effect across his form, before the sky exploded like leaves in a windstorm, leaving the black and silver changeling in his place. Thought so, he observed aloud. Well, now we have an option. In a case that changeling said right, about Todd bringing 6 changeling squad. Wait, what? Midnight gulped. Oh, you gotta be kidding. Why would you do that? The first thing that comes to mind to act as decoys for herself. I can only assume what scenario though. She'd be running. I don't like the second scenario at all, though. I don't either, Mira responded, coming from a conclusion that she did not like at all. Okay, I have some new toys. I'm all ready to play. Let me get my armor, and we'll see how to go to work, huh? Should be fun. Bring you back to work day. If I get any serious trouble, I send up a flare, Larry said with a nod, as we don't need this, guys. Still, you don't seem to estimating my ability very highly. It's not you I'm concerned about, Midnight Todd. I read that report, and I have a good idea what you are capable of. But I don't know extent of Todd's power, nor the new muscles she hired. Except unexpected, as you might live to see another day, she recalled the old saying her master would say. Fair enough, Ledger agreed, before looking at the wing blades. Uh, well, there goes our plan of disguise, as you as a Pegasus. Yeah, well, I stick to the rooftop and sneaks to the warehouse after you. Out of sight, but always in mind, she smiled. Now, let's get going. Nero can make a move until we do. Unicorn Stallion walked through the front door of the company, only to immediately encounter Tall Taker. While internally he was panicking, externally he was keeping his cool and barely raised an eyebrow. Yes, boss? My office. Now, she said, pointing at the other six forms that Ledger only just noticed were in the room. You lot, stay put for now. As one, the six supposed ponies nodded. Ledger suppressed a shudder. The unicorn followed his boss to the office and sat himself in the chair opposite of her. The marathon lit up, and the doors locked itself behind them. I'm just gonna be blunt here, Ledger, the mayor said as he sat in his chair. We're in a tight spot. I think I need to cut my losses and run from the town. Okay, expected. You had spy for this. This is really all that bad? He said, asked aloud. We're supposed to raise an eyebrow. The stallion clarified. I mean, yes, all of our less than legal operations appear to be falling down. But may if I may be blunt as well, ma'am. Go ahead, she said with a wave of her hoof. And since you have me start hiding those transitions, I've been slightly disapproving of the path you are taking. Level admitted. Well, like fucking hating every last inch of your existence. And what would you have done? Taltasia asked, raising an eyebrow. Simple, Ledger asked with a smirk. I would have found out what the city wants, what the city needs, and then tried to become the only supplier of those things. Tall leaned back and hummed to herself. So, she verbally proceeded. So, for the things you like, nightclubs where alcohol is rampart, I would have looked into the suppliers, distributors, and even the farms where they got ingredients from, and then the distilleries where they are combined, and bought them out instead. Then you'd be free to set your own prices, both internally and externally. The pair of unicorns fell silent for a moment. Once contemplated the scenario the other had outlined. The music was loud. The drinks were flowing and most ponies had a good time, especially ones in a hidden back room, counting piles of extortion bits. This door suddenly flew open and a breath of Pegasus ran in. His eyes were wide. One pony looked from the table with a bored expression. Dude, chill. Did no one did one of Mary's OD again? No, it's the he was cut off. A much larger armor Pixels dropped him with a single hoof. Welcome to the first day of your new life, he smiled. My name is Stark, and I'll be your arresting officer for today, gents. The first pony made a grab for the money, before the unicorn blasted him with a potent stun spell. She smiled and blew a wisp of smoke from her horn. Oh, look at it. They want to play. She cooed. It's kinda cute when they think they have a chance. That they are, Cricket, Stark smiled. Now, let's rock. All over the city, warehouse, nightclubs, brothels, all the city places one might imagine were experiencing a similar scenario. The guards were everywhere, arresting dozens of people, shutting down any illegal operation that were going on. The central warehouse, Mita's song moved silently through an air duct before emerging and hiding in an enormous stack of large crates. All right, Level, where are you? All right, I admit you have points. I don't have to run, just hide. Going to managing from afar as it were. Toll agreed. I still need you to do something though. Level paused for a moment before nodding. Ready and willing, sir, boss. I need you to go to the central warehouse. Take the six in the lobby with you. Once you get there, look for the main office. There should be a set of secret drawers in the desk, where I put the really old books. At Level's stunned expression, Toll let off a grin. Bears has to keep records, and after you're stunned, I have to move them. Very well, boss. Find them, bring them back, I assume? Nope, she said with a shake of her head. Find them, burn them. They're old enough to only matters to the guard. Any intel they have is worthless to me nowadays. What will do quickly eventually change. Ledger nodded and stood up, before pausing and looking sheepishly at his boss. May I? You may want to tell them to follow me yourself. They might not listen anyways. Tall Taker sighed, picked up from her chair, and followed her accountant to the lobby. You six, she barked, causing the disguised nymphs to turn to her and bow their heads. You will follow this one and obey his orders, no matter what the situation. Toll continued, pointed at Ledger. The unicorn Stedling gave off sheepishly grins, and the mares let out a small hiss. One actually objected. This is highly Anything more was cut off as Toltec stalked forward and glared into the setter's eyes. Only after a second the mares quaked and looked away. Yes, mistress, he said after getting herself under control. Good bucks, Thor said loud enough to be heard by them all. You all come back intact though. In case I still need to run and acquire decoys. Understood? Yes, mistress. All the drones and looked at Ledger. Only a hint of a sneer on the lips. In a sigh, Lever opened the main doors with a wave of magic. Let's get is going then, ladies, he said aloud. Plenty to do already. Mira had decided to poke around some bit in order. There was always no pony in this building, and she began to wonder if she was wrong address. Then she came across a large office. She poked her head in and whistled. Oh, fancy. I guess a crime really does pay. Would you like this kind of crap? She muttered, staring at some awful painting. It was like a fool has puked on it and decided to splash around them for a while. Okay, so what do we do have here? She mused. Opening the desk drawers. Office supplies, blank notebooks, and a knife? Huh. She noticed something small protruding at the back of the drawer. She pressed it and jumped back in case of a trap. Instead, a small panel swung open, revealing a stack of old notebooks. Oh, now what do we have here? She giggled. I found something nice. Just then she heard the sound of hoofsteps, many hoofsteps, and one familiar voice. It should be back here, Lydia said aloud. Then unfamiliar, distant female voice pitched in. You don't know? Typical useless drone. Binda's ears flicked and her eyes gave a dangerous twitch. It was level. But who was the mare that, and why did she suddenly feel she needed to test her new blades? Still, they need to get close, and the man looked around the office, but left little in the way of hiding places. Except when Level opened the door, all that greeted him was an empty office. Level sat at the desk and opened the drawer one by one while talking to the females outside. It's hardly my fault that tolls keep me in the office during my year here, he said before pausing and sniffing. What is it now, drone? Did you lose the files were sent here to farm? Another unfamiliar voice asked. They are not here, he said aloud. They are missing, and this chair was warm when I sat in it. Summer has been here. Someone took them not long ago. Find them, or Toll will have our heads. For once, there was no rebuttal from outside of the office. Only the sound of 6 sets of hooves running off into the rest of the warehouse. They just sighed and relaxed in the chair until a hoof snakes its way around his thigh. Cut it, he said. I only knew you were there when I practically sitting on you. Those blades do awful lots to hide you, you know? Good to know, she growled. Her eyes had become narrow slits. Now, Carol explained that slutty squad out there. 16th, that Toltecs had to take on her appearance in case she needed to run. She put them under my command. But as you can see, the gender cap is well and alive, he said with a sigh. Once I talked her down from running, she sent us here to grab those files. So what's the plan? Bina replied, noticeably calmer. That was nearly done with her end. and Todd's gonna find out sooner or later. Still have those files? He asked the bat under the desk. He responded by dropping the stack of books in his lap. Good. Put those somewhere they won't be found. If I can't find you until I'm top of you, they can't either. That gives the element surprise against them. I help where I can, but you're probably going to have to do the most of the work. And I have acted against you as well. Better take it easy on me. She smiled, then placed the book in her saddlebag. Behind you, about to fly very fast. And would you miss those memes if they were in my way? No drone would cry over a nymph going missing, Lady muttered darkly. Just like they wouldn't cry over us. No drone. Good to know. I'm going to run a little delivery and then I plan on running back to you. Any complaints? She could, moving up his chest, kissing him on the cheek. Only that you can't stay longer, he said, running the gesture and being sure to draw only excess emotions to better hide their departure. But with half a dozen mother's nymphs in here, I ought to be throwing you out the window. Hurry back. Will do. Try not to get too carried away. She headed for the door and opened it ever so slightly. Once she was sure the coast was clear, she extended her wings and making no sound at all. We'll search everywhere, the nymph said. She rounded the corner, badly off the midnight headlight. No beings are hiding within this warehouse. We should return. And end up dead? Lydia scoffed. I'd very much rather not. After all, she is getting a little more unstable as these days go to work comes around her. Lydia hummed at the moment before crowd. If they were a unicorn, they knew how to hide themselves from changing detection, or simply auto detection. They could be still here, assuming some of you blocked the exit. We have, the nymph said. She will sweep again, the time more careful, searching for clues, while you simper away up here, despair like the useless drone you are. Remind me, which of us just come up with a plan that could save our flags? Ledger retorted. In the lands you may be powerful, but here we are all equals. I believe that those princesses elevate a prince to their status, the nymph retorted. The only difference between Equestria and the lands is that they are not as thorough in their punishment of males here. Which is why I'm never going back, Ledger returned. You might have your task. You have a lack of use at any of yours. The sky drone insulted the unicorn. What few drones have. There was a sudden chill in the room, as a voice worthy of coming from death itself permeated subtly silence. Oh, if you know. It could eerily to familiar tone. It was a sickling crack, as something struck the back of the nymph's head, so hard it bounced when she hit the ground. It wasn't enough to kill, but she would be dreaming for a good long while. Mida's song stood there, her eyes filled with untutored rage. I have decided I treat this like nymphs, she growled. Not all of them are unreasonable, but if you can tell from afar by the way they look at a man, Level observed, all of these ones aren't. Oh, I get knocked out, huh? Midnight cracked her neck and smiled, a rather unsettling smile. Ledger blinked and slowly started to draw away, fear evident on his face. She paused when she saw the look on the ones she had before. Her ears dropped, and even over her sword he could feel just a single emotion: self-loathing. I'll deliver these files now, she replied. Pretend I knock you out or something. And she headed to the door once more, before she found herself encased in a silvery glow and wrapped up in a hug from Level. His eyes shimmered and fell away close proximity. Yet he didn't let up. Hearing a female talk like that is going to scare me, he admitted, whispering into her ears. But I know you won't mean. I'm sorry. She didn't reply, but simply nodded in response. She didn't know. He didn't know. But it did would eventually. I have to go, she said quietly. Can't tuck in your wings? Yes, why? He asked even as his wings were folding in. Gotta put on a show, right? She winked and grabbed his hoof, flipping him and shattering the desk with his form. Sorry, love. No harm's done, right? She said, little worried she had overdone it. Give me a kiss and help me recover? And no, not at all. Purpose, he clarified. Still better wrong once you're done. They have done. They have heard that. She gave him a brief kiss on the lips, and then blasted out to the door, her blade slicing through the wood like butter, as she bucked the remains out and flew off, using a nearby changeling mare as a spring to gain extra height. They tried to nab her with their telekinesis, but little spells wrapped and dissipate around her. They did, however, give chase, shifting into Pegasi and flying after her. Soon, all that was left was Ledger of one unconscious nymph. Mina's song led the five on a merry chase throughout the city, the nymph splitting hisses, curses in changelings at her. She just laughed and ducked around one corner as the changeling followed. They soon found a wall of royal guards waiting for them. All you have the right to remain silent, Naro smiled. You don't really have much else beyond that. She looked at her left. Cricket? The slender unicorn smiled as she encased the five in a magical glow, slammed them into the ground. Ah, she sighed, as the other guard placed hoof cups and inhibitor rings on them. I love my job. Mina dropped the nose to Naro and gave a hurried explanation. That's all the evidence you need. Gotta help Levy. Be back right soon, she said and blasted off into the sky again. Well now, she is certainly something. Naro smiled before turning back to her troops. All right, you slackers, we're not done yet. I want one lot with you. The rest can proceed all the dirt swept up today. need to drink something because my throat is getting dry. Okay. Ledger pulled himself back into the office, carefully crafting himself into the image of defeat. Boss, he cried out. Boss, bad news! Toltekin ran into the lobby and looked at the one worker that had come back. What in the world happened to you? Big pieces in guard armor, Liddy said, making up an excuse. Knocked out one of the nymphs, threw me through the desk, and when I woke up, the documents were missing, along with the others. Damn it! Told cursed. No option to run, and I can't stay. Oh, bloody Tartarus! But I'm screwed! You! And a familiar voice spoke up. Level turned to see the last nymph that hadn't been arrested, standing in the doorway behind him. You promised, she hissed and glared at Tall. You promised us a home here. If we would do this one thing for you. She breathed as labored. Apparently, Midna had hit her harder than originally thought. And you bucked up, Tall said, taking a step back. You bucked up, and now I'm screwed 6 ways to Saturday. You are going to lock me away forever. If I don't kill you both first, the crazed nymph said. What? When did I get dragged into this? Level asked, also backing up. She'll pay for this, the nymph said, stalking closer to the man. For deceiving me and mine. She will pay. And as for you, out of our failure you shall will be disposed of. The words, said in such a stealthy tone, caused Level to immediately start breathing erratically. Terror gripped him, as he knew one thing was for certain. He had to run. But fear made his leg didn't work. In the end, he lay on the ground, whimpering and pleading, not even looking at the sound of the conflict. Even as the tesseract landed near the changeling, her eyes narrowed and she flashed a sweet smile to Tall. It would be appeared that the rumors of my death had been greatly exaggerated. The unicorn and changeling, currently in the middle of a duel to the death, paused and looked at the tesseract mare. Oh, you mother bucker! Toll shouted, her magic flaring violently. In response to the revelation, I'm gonna kill you, she shouted at the youth across her. And then I'm going to kill you the way they were supposed to die, she shouted at Midnight. And then I'm going to kill that two-faced traitor, she screamed to the heavens. Midnight unsheathed her sword. Your vampires in ruins, so you have nowhere to run. Midnight replied as she kept one eye on Level. He seemed to curl up and were repeating the same phrase over and over. Give up, and I give it easy to you too. Toll looked at the changeling across from her. In light of the fact that one of you are working with is a bucking traitor, Truce? The nymph hummed for a moment before nodding. Until all the others are dead, I shall not attempt to kill you. From there, we will see. With a chord struck, two murderous men turned again, tension back to midnight. Thistlemare seized them up, gorging the strength. She had her anti-magic blaze and years of practice. Last chance, she growled, hoping to buy him time for more backup to arrive. You can still come quietly and nobody has to die. Then just then, she felt a familiar hoof touch her. Apparently Level has something to say. She looked down at him, and a pang of guilt pierces her heart. He looked so lyrica. He got out barely, before returning to his mantra and shuddering. Midnight's eye widened. How? How had he known that word? She gasped. Narrow. I see, she said quietly. Permission received. She looked at Level and hoped she could hear her. Her whole body shook. Please, cover your eyes, close your ears. Don't look back at this. In one surprising clear moment, he pulled himself to hear her and whisper into them. I trust you, he said, before ambling off to the place to isolate himself. Buddha shed a single tear and smiled. If only this was about trust, she said, murmuring. She turned back to the pair, who seemed to be discussing strategy and arguing about it. Well, as lost they were still waiting. Rest felt disintegrated gaze at the nymph. Felt them bear become devoid of all emotion. Okay, here we go. Use of Lyrica style has been granted. Eliminating targets, Song said with a monotone voice. I picked the wrong man to work for, the changeling observed before shredding her disguise totally. Heads up, boss. She got some crazy control over her emotion. Told Stone to pick up some nearby desk in her match. Control or not, she won't be able to withstand everything. That changeling took off, while the mayor launches nearby office furniture at the festival. First beat, she whispered, weaving and ducking the throne desk. The second volley approached. Festival brink. Second beat. Her voice came to bear, and the desk was reduced to confetti. The sister turned and her gaze back into the unicorn. God damnation! Get in. Get in there while I shush up some spells, the mayor ordered. The changeling let out a buzz and zipped right into the threshold face, attempting to be very distract her. Though she did pull one punch to her face. Third beat, she said, snaring the extended hoof with her own, tossed her into the air. A barrage of blows juggled the hipless changeling before the vessel finally emitted an emotion. The mental conditioning was complete. She was ready to fight. Endless walls made that vanished before zipped back and forth, repeatedly striking the link. A shower of broken carpets rained down. It took a solid minute before midnight landed. a hoof guard tapping lightly as the nymph hit the ground beneath her. Bleeding, broken, and unconscious, what Toll was holding gave her a pause, even now. Apparently, the mare decided to switch target. Level was in her grasp, seemed to be alternating between trying to get out of her hold and crying in fear. You want him? The mare sneered. Then you better do as I tell. Otherwise he won't look any better than her. Bida watched her as she edged around the festival. You used him, she said quietly. You abused him, and you broke him. All because he's not like us. Her wings dropped, and swords striking the ground in a shower of sparks. And now you're covering behind him. Like will save you. She took a step forward, raising her wings a little. I'm a blade of justice, the holy sword of Celestia. Evil falls before me, and you are no exception. You have been found guilty. That's the last words uttered with a tone that could shake even the most stalwart pony. You will face judgment at the hoofs of the Creator. Are you ready? You will back the hell. Toll said as she levitated him to the nearby window. Otherwise, I will cast a spell that will tear his guys off and toss him out there for all the world to see. Mina took off one step forward, her emotionless eyes now displaying righteous fury. Then I will be his shield, she whispered. Bridge of death. She dashed forward, her wings spread wide. Toll has been standing in the front of a shipping container, but the glowing dark blaze that Thestral wore shed through the metal like it was nothing. The blades came to a stop, a millimeter from the unicorn's neck. The mad bat pony was impossible fast. You will die now, she said. Then she heard the voice of Ledger. Once Toll's grip had faltered after the sheer terror, the unicorn walked slowly closer to the sea, fascinating despite himself. Once he heard the Bat Pony's plan for the mare, he drew close, put one hoof on her wither. I am more than anyone has cause to ask her to die, Ledger said simply. So please, hear me midnight. If you're still in there, don't kill her. My friend, the Meritus, she wouldn't sink to the level of this scum. Please, midnight, come back to me. A small trickle of blood ran down Tall's neck. They wore the magical blade that was pressed against her. Peter looked at her, then leaned close. In case you didn't hear that, the changeling you tormented, the changeling you abused. She withdrew her bow and sheathed them. Taking a shallow breath, just beg for your life. What in the only reason you are still alive? Still, if you give her a incentive to hold and not spark up that horn of hers, that'd be great. Level said as his own began to glow. I have a secret to make sure she keeps. Still in combat mode, Midnight took a that do not let her cast and drew back a hoof, slamming into the mare's sword, cracking it, causing the mare to scream shrill, overwhelming pain before passing out. Well, that works too, Lev said, looking at midnight. Okay, while I put this compulsion on her, I'm guessing if you give some sort of order, you're listening to perform it. I mean, based on what just happened, I'm really flying blind here. Midnight took a deep breath as she closed her eyes. Emotional state slowly dissipated until it returned to a more level normal. She shuddered, opened her eyes halfway, glazing and gazing around. I am not a monster, she whispered. Please, don't hate me. For umpteenth time, Mina found herself encased in a ledger hug. Okay, let's revive, he said aloud. I'm a shapeshifter who could be any pony. I want to be and could drain a city dry of emotion, one pony at a time. I resemble a cross of a bug and a pony, so yeah, I could not going to call you a monster. Not gonna lie, I'd experience an emotion when watching you fight, Lidge admitted before dropping his voice. It was fucking hot watching you fight for me. Nymphs do that it as well, but more to own the male they are fighting over, assuming he's worth it. Mina blinked before a lovely laugh rang out. You're so weird, she giggled, laying her head on his shoulder. But I let my emotion control me too much. I don't mean to beat them so badly. I know Pony will shed a tear, Level replied with a straight face. Don't the changeling back home, and don't the guard. So let's see, you're a pet pony who can go into a trance that renders your mission oriented and turns you into a hot warmer of combat. A changeling said, beeping her nozzle with a hoof. Ah, you're the sweetest thing, she replied, popping him back. Level snickered and then crossed his eyes at his horde and nodded. Spell's done. Anything needed. A silver flash signified that he was obeying her wind quite quickly, and the unicorn dropped down to the ground. Once the bat panel go, Bina turned to the door. Revenue vigor tearing somehow a new one. When the main door lifted and opened, a narrow with a small legion of guard entered and thudding out to check the area. Minda sighed and lowered her stance as the narrow drew closer. One look at the changeling length, and tall as she was scattered chitin pieces and a clevered metal container before shaking her head. So, you used it, huh? Two were tougher than they looked. I may have been a little mad. My emotion got the better of me, and no excuses, except punishment if you deem necessary. Dan remained silent as she looked at the ledger, wanting to see if he had anything to do to add. I would have thought, he admitted, but shook his head. However, that mood said she would have doing dispose of me. That triggered a few unpleasant memories. I had enough sense to mind to see me that was in a two onto one fight. I pestered her the word you said. Fortunately, it was able to bring her back from whatever that was. Before you had two bodies to clean up instead of two suspects. Nara nodded and looked to Midnight, who gave a sheepish nod, turned toward level ledger. We'll discuss that later, okay? Nara barked at the two guards. We have two injured mares. Retrieve the medics and get this place in order. And what is done yesterday, and I want it done yesterday. Got that? Yes, ma'am, yes. They shout, getting everything she required organized. Go home, Midnight nodded. We have evidence you can provide, and your official statement can't wait until tomorrow. She gave them a small smile and nodded her head. Your assistant has been, hmm, appreciated, Sergeant Midnight. Your mission is now to ensure that the continued protection of this stallion. We do not know if any of the goons escape and may seek revenge. Ma'am, Midnight saluted. None shall lay hoof on him. I believe it too, she agreed. Now get going. Holy crap, this is a long chapter, but I will read this through. That was a day and a half, and it is only noon. Ledger observes the apartment door open. The pair of them. Beta walked in silently and noted, removing some pieces of armor and dropping them to the floor as she walked. Lever sneaked and floated them into her bedroom as she passed, before shutting and locking the front door and dropping his disguise. That's better, he stated aloud. Now, something eating you, Midnight, and I don't mean me. And Jason sat on his haunches, stared at the bad pony. Yeah, I guess so. Midnight nodded slightly. Sorry, I never meant to show something like that. Show you why I'm called the monster of Canterlot. The changeling mare sat there and blinked a few times before coughing and pointing at himself with one hoof. Yes, yes, I'm aware of your surprisingly sexy appearances. Beanette chuckled half-heartedly. I cannot avoid this, can I? Wait, what? Level asked simply. There was a few points that he could address, but he would wait for her to share which one currently too much to handle. The fact that I lied to you, that I'm still lying to you, she sighed. Level raised an eyebrow before coughing again. This trumps all of half-truths and lies I've fed to you when you first moved in. How? He asked. Mina looked up and smiled. Don't you think there's a little strange that somebody of my position needs shared accommodation in the first place? Not really, Ledger said aloud. The local guard hasn't been getting all the funds it could have for a while. Dolls tipped whatever she could that's supposed to go to them. So that when she didn't have to worry about as much as she could get caught. She likely would have resorted to that was supposed to be the moment Naru came asking. While asking moving in with you was unsuspected, it was my job. It made my job a lot easier. Mira said bluntly. I was going to move into a part-time building and befriend you regardless, because you were close to her, close to an object of my mission. Level's expression started to fall as there was solar conclusion rapidly. So this, all of this, last night, your affection was all of it? No! Minna slammed a hoof into the table. That was supposed to be your friend as most of your acquaintances originally. I never expected I'd fall in love with you. Tears streamed down her face as she continued. All of that, all of this is true. What I felt, how I still feel. Leo sat still and breathed deeply for a moment. To get his mind back under control. Do you want to know something, Midnight? I never tasted love for another being. He opened his eyes, beckoning for her to come closer. Show me, he said simply. Show me what you feel. Didn't have to wait long, as she pressed her lips against his. Despite his current appearance, despite what she had just admitted, he was there. The power that Krista craved, the power that filled the changeling like no one other. Pure love. For him. He held her close and just basked in that emotion, drawing what he needed to fill up after tiring day. Eventually, they had to come up for air. Yes, he said simply, once they had. That felt like love. I don't know if I can return it right away. But we can work on that together. If you have me. If you would think I'm worthy of you. I think I should be saying that you are aware. She smiled nonetheless though. But I don't know if we can. Why do you say so? He asked. He ran a hope-filled hoof through her mane. My mission is complete. Doll has been arrested, her empire in ruins, and a loose end can be tied up by the local authorities. Most likely, I'll be back in Candle by tomorrow for my next assignment. With her gone, I don't have a job more, Lil said. I could probably make one by cleaning up what's left of Pegasus Air and return it to a shipping company. But I don't been meaning to leave for a while anyways. Learn new things and all that. If it means staying by you by my side, you have to go to the gates of Tartarus to lose me. You you come to Canterlot with me? She gasped. To be honest, she hadn't even considered that. Whatever you asked me to do, I will, he said, leaning down to kiss her on her head. Though with the whole me registered on the pony side, happening when your father returns, I might just wind up stuck here. Screw the rules, I'm a badass, Minda snorted. As long as you're with me, no pony will question it. And if they do, I keep the bread. Simple? Yeah. I just done with a company that broke the law on a regular basis. Level deadpan. Plus, yeah, someone should at least try to clean up what she did. It looks more like I could just say a little longer. Yeah, Peanut sighed. I guess she shook her head and smiled. I figure it out later. Burn that bridge when it comes, right? I prefer to leave my options open, Leva said with a roll of his eyes as she hugged Midnight tighter. Yeah, he observed. Suddenly, I'm aware of something. Oh, level? Reach enlightenment? He questioned. Who knew a thirstful hood could help that? A quick kiss on his head. My groins adding to the word in bed to that. And for once, my heart and mind have nothing to say in the matter. I warned you over unnecessary bloody violence. I must say that. What is differently the first and even for me? She sighed and leaned into me. Unfortunately, once in my life, I'm also not in the mood for something physical in nature. I just want to be held and hope for the moment ends. That I can only do for so long. I'll need to get my shades if I'm going to use my bed at all. But I'll hold you for as long as I can. Couch. Cuddle couch or my bed, whichever you prefer. Couch, as it is. If you aren't happy by the time dinner rolls around, then I'm going to start feeling sad. He warned, putting Midnight on his back and began to long cuddle session. After a while, Mina just wanted long shower and a nap. Levela started on early dinner, but the lovey got from before trumped anything a figure he could cook. Still, the non-omnivore needs physical sustenance, and he would provide. A thought occurred and he smiled, ready to begin dinner. There was a knock on the door. Also, tingling sensation of thermals. Panicked once. Never put his disguise back on and opened the door to reveal a highly panicked landlord on the side. State? He asked. What's going on? Visitor for you. The guy was shaking like a leaf in an earthquake. Very well. I'll add another for dinner, Ledger said. Send them up and tell them to knock first. Locking the door is a good habit to have. Meanwhile, Ledger was trying to figure out who was possibly to garner on this reaction, but kept turning up on nothing. Please do. Oh, please, please help. Don't die. Before the Ledger could even ask what the hell was that about, the stallion bobbed and lived in the sky's changeling on the doorstep. By the time he closed the door and returned to the kitchen, there was another knock, bothering by only poking his head before currently delicate the snake. The stallion unlocked the door from afar. "It's unlocked!" he shouted aloud. The door opened and his guest walked in, taking her head up while hitting her horn on the top of the door. Despite the closed windows, her mane flowing like a slow river, as Celestia walked around the humble atoll. "It's a nice place that you have here, my little changeling." Ledger squeaked and ducked back into the kitchen, both to maintain the food and try to hide himself behind a pot. This was this was akin to a queen taking notice of you back home. It was never ending well. Silsa shuddered as she stood in the center of the room. "Please forgive my sudden appearance, but my dear Grissom told me that I should simply must pay a visit. And once I heard about today's event, I teleported right over." Leva slowly lowered the pot and poked his head out again. "So, you're not here to punch me for living in lands for a year without registration of my identity?" he asked the sun goddess. "Heavens, no," Celesta smiled, beckoning for a changeling to come out. "I came to apologize, actually." Ledger's jaw dropped, bringing ground to a halt. A female of this standing apologizing to a drone like him. "I don't know what to say," he admitted as he sat on the front of the dining table. "This was never happened to me." "I imagined not," Celeste chuckled. "Changeling drones have it quite rough back home, don't they?" Hmm? In response, Ledger's eyes flickered as to his bookcase, and the damp pamphlet floated out for Celestia to see. "That is putting it mildly, your highness," he said, only with a touch of sarcasm. "Yes, I'm aware of the state of things," Celeste said as her eyes glazed over the pamphlet. "I wish I could do more for them, but I can only help the ones that comes to Equestria. And even then, only the ones that wants my help." The offending pamphlet burst into bright flames, utterly disintegrated. Level blinked a few times as the weight of the bundled propaganda vanished from his grip. "Well, that's one thing off my mind, then," he observed, before turning his head back into the kitchen, starting to drain the noodles. "Is there any particular things you want to apologize for?" he said, still having a difficult believing he wanted to apologize for the first place. "As for my way little ponies have treated you and yours, try as I might, they have been timid beings, afraid of drastic change and the unknown." She suddenly bowed her head. "To him? I pray that you can forgive them." Once he was certain he was holding, or need to hold anything. Ledger dropped his disguise and slowly drew close to Celestia. I can forgive all but one, he said quietly. And as long as she never gets out of whatever hole the court throws her in, then I can forgive you. Celeste blinked at the sudden transformation, but nodded. Tolteca has committed terrible crimes, and she will be punished accordingly. Rest assured, she will never hurt you or anybody else. You have my sincerest apologies. Well then, my thanks, Led said, bowing his head for a moment. Although across his mind decided to voice a question. Ah, at a word on when Grinsom will next be here. Sutter requested him to hand it all off, gestured towards his body with one hoof. Oh, I'm afraid I'm keeping him quite busy at the moment, especially after Luna, says the smile again, shaking her head. Already arranged necessary paperwork, though. You would just have to come to Canterlot to finalize it on your own decision. Ledger sighed before shaking his head as well. Somebody has to clean up after toll. The Pegasus Air was once a shipping company, but the lack of a pony do the job. I know the place inside and out. I'd rather come to me when he next can. Well, I see what I can arrange. Celeste smiled. Now, I believe you timid landlord said something about dinner. This also is nearly done, he said, a spark of mischief flickering across his slithered eye. If you would be so kind to awaken my roommate, I believe she's taking a nap at the moment. Oh, Celestia smiled mischievously. I believe I can do that. Where might I find Miss Sun? Allow me to show you. Level all but purred as he escorted the Princess of the Sun to Midnight Song's room. Princess, as she approached the bed, was slept on top of it. Her hind leg twitched occasionally on a small smile graced her lips. She appeared to be having a good dream. Celeste leant down and whispered into the bat's ear. Dear Midnight, it's time to wake up. Midnight stared and her smile widened. She leant up and suddenly grabbed the Alicon's head. Honey, love, she purred into sleepy tone and promptly kissed the mare. Oh dear. Needless to say, even the infallible Princess of the Sun was shocked, but she was too stunned to pull away. Ledger merely sat down, hard, outside her room, taking in the situation. Okay, yes, she thought Celestia was him for some reason and decided a kiss was appropriate the way response to being woken up. But damn if it wasn't hot, watching her to get the wrong target. Binda pulled away, and eventually opened her eyes, only to be graced with the slightly blushed face of Princess Celestia. Um, I have this dream before, she purred. Now where is Luna? Back at home, I'm afraid, Celeste replied, like nothing had happened. I'm certainly would have gotten a laugh out of this, I assure you. Wait, home. Venus became very aware this wasn't a dream and looked at Celestia. Oh, very funny level. Already as said you wouldn't become a female Celestia. And I haven't, the drone said from outside the room, smirked as she began to finally process the situation. Oh, sweet Celestia, I kissed Celestia. Midnight put a hoof on her lips, then smirked. Well, she was quite sweet. And you are as incorrigible, Celestia said, fighting down another blush. Well, if you're quite done molesting me, shall we have a dinner and talk about a few things? Speaking of which, it's nearly done. Ow, crud, Lou said as remained something. Midnight, we need to buy more shares if we're going to keep having guests. That we do, Binda said, and nodded as two mares exited the room and followed the Ling into the living room. It was then the Song noticed that he wasn't disguised. Lev, you're showing off a little in front of the princess. She knows, and I have your dad to blame for it, Lydia returned. Back in a if you two can decide who goes where, that with that he ducked back into the kitchen. I know where I want to go, Midnight giggled, glazing at the princess. Celestia just sighed and applied her hoof to her face. The kiss has been much quieter without you, dear Midnight, she sighed, glancing at the chair and the hoard fired up with a golden light. Once he declared, a third of the jar was sitting there. The vacation spell, quite useful, yes? Ledger walked out of the kitchen with 3 plates in his grasp, raising an eyebrow at the chair. Well, that solves that problem, he admitted before putting dinner in front of the mares. Once Midnight recognized it from her first day. Oh, yummy pasta, Midnight cheered. My life is now complete. However, the moment Midnight bit into it, she could taste that something felt different about it. Better. More. Celestia took a bite, humming thoughtfully. Binta suddenly realized. Princess fuck freaking Celestia at their dinner table. This is quite nice, she hummed a smile. Such love poured into this dish. Just make that extra special, no? No more special than the mare that gave it to me to begin with, Leva said, waking at midnight. You could probably have a dedicated changing chef to do something similar at the palace, he theorized. Might make those long days of court tolerable. Vinland watched as Celestia smiled and leaned in close, with a hint of mirth in her eyes. Who says I don't? Fair enough, Ledger admitted, chuckling softly. We can be rather sneaky, after all. Little sneak stole my heart after all, Midnight chuckled. Celestia nodded and smiled along with her. This was nice to see. His own helped her with the decision she had to make. Excuse me, but I believe you gave it to me willingly, Ledger mock proceed. I even got the gift receipt and everything. You better not return it. Midnight waved a fork. What would be most potent said, and you don't really want that. Of course not, Ledger agreed, munching on some of the news before continuing. Though the question becomes, what does the pretty mare desire in return? She paused, as Level and Celestia, who had become the most interesting in this conversation, stared at her. She fidgeted as she at least presumed to be. Her face flushed and Level could feel the love poured off her. Of course not, Ledger agreed, munching on some noodles before counting. Though the question. Okay, sorry, I mixed it up. She paused as Level and Celestia, who had become most interested in this conversation, stared at her. She fidgeted in her seat as she presumed pressure built. Her face flushed red, and Level could feel the love part of her. Um, well, I guess, she finally said and hit her face in her hoofs. Celestia chuckled and returned to her meal. Then for her as long as you want me. You have me, Ledger replied, basking in the love she emanated and eating his other diner as well. So cute, Ledger said under her breath. She suddenly cleared her throat and then turned toward Midnight. Regardless, I have the details of your next assignment, Midnight son. Oh, Bina snapped to attention. She'd been carried away with her new domestic life. She had forgotten that Celestia was royalty. Indeed, you done here well. I would must be honored to have a mare like you in my personal guard. Level Ledger had worked on several stressful situations in his last occupation, did masterful work in his poker face. Middle nodded at midnight at this news. A mare like you deserves the best, he said solemnly, whether internally he could not be any more conflicted. It's what I always wanted, Nina said quietly. Ever since joining the academy, it was always wanted to be able to join your god, to do whatever Thesral has never done before. She looked down at the food, not feeling hungry anymore. And yet, Celeste raised an eyebrow. And yet, Midnight smiled. I found something that I want. She looked up at Level with a smile. Something more. Level shook his head a few times. Midnight, You're throwing away a prime opportunity, the job of a lifetime, your dreams. Think about it. Don't you want that? Don't do that for a drone like me. He has about to say the word worthless in there, but barely stopped himself in time. I know, Ina sighed and doubted that she would ever get this chance again. Then, this was the other chance might slip away as well. But I, if I may interject, Midlet asked, dabbing her mouth in a napkin. This city is a difficult city to live in, is it not? It used to be, Level admitted. That might change. It might not. I need a roommate to afford rent in the future, should I keep up the act. Even if I don't, the mother will let me live comfortably. I think she might mean the sort of pony that lives here, Maynard said. The toll taker of the world, so to say. Indeed, while I do regret this event has transpired, I also am not foolish enough to assume that they are not. Mm, they will not happen again. Nature above adores a vacuum, Ledger agreed. A power vacuum of this magnitude, if it is not filled legally, and it will be filled in illegally. Agreed, Celestia nodded. You're a wise changeling, dear Ledger, and I would feel much more comfortable if I had my one personal guard here in Las Pegasus watching out for the ponies like yourself. Level slowly blinked and looked between Celestia and Midnight. Are you saying? He started off with Midnight's song, Celestia said with a tone that would ordering her soldier. Your assignment should be choose if you choose to accept. It is to keep the citizens of Las Pegasus safe. You will act as independent member of my guard. You will take your orders from me, and only me. Do you accept? Midnight froze. Did she got an offering what she thought was she was offering? Lev, she croaked. I could use some of that bluntness right now. This is like the circumstance around my uncle become and understaying king of my hometown, Hive, Level said. Once in a generation. In your, if you pass this up, I will most cross with you, Midnight. Well, I guess I should graciously accept your offer, Midnight smiled, because apparently my cuddle buggy would most lonely without me. Apparently so, Midnight. Celestia chuckled again. She sighed inwardly. Mida was a valuable asset, a good friend. And you, Miss Ledger, I trust you would take care of this most valuable friend of mine. Of course I will. Ledger defended himself. Until she admitted it to me today, I have never tasted love. I'm not anything happen to her if I can help it. Well, I say that a decent motivator. Celestia smiled and she stood up. Well, thank you for the lovely meal. Now that I concluded my business here, I have a castle full of ponies to get back to. and then she vanished. Okay, yeah, okay, that was real and happening. This was definitely a thing now. Once he broke the kiss, he panted and her red face. What did it have to that effect on her? So, I guess I'm here to stay then? I certainly hope so, Level admitted. There was need to be a few things as who pays what, but I'm certainly we can work that all out. Midnight fidgeted and looked at him. I have a question. And what would that be? He asked, continued to hold her close. She smiled. Just was running through your mind when I was kissing the princess. Hmm, not a whole lot beyond whether or not I should shift into a male Luna and totally break your mind. Ledger said with a grin. He shifted the blush crease of cheeks and her wings snapped to attention. Um, I may not totally be okay with that. And wait, when the heck did you get so forward? I recall certain stallion had a very potent version of the female kind. You changed that. He said, holding her close and sighing. I'm not attracted to females, but you? I'm sure you showed me that you could be trusted. You showed me that there is no shame about anything, nothing to fear. I'm not asexual, but I'm not normal. He pulled her back and delivered a final observation. If anything, I'm song sexual now. Every pony is song sexual, she winked at him. Even the princess, apparently. Well, if you're done with your food, an option to cuddle is always open. Level offered. Cuddling sounds wonderful. Maybe a little kissing as well, she asked, hopefully wagging her tail cutely. Whatever you want, Ledger said, kissing her on the nozzle. You just have to take it. Her eyes widened, and she grinning again, like she had been the night before. Ah, you sure want me to do that? Ledger paused for a moment before nodding. As long as you are. You said my fighting was hot. I got to kiss the princess and admitted you loved me in front of her. Mina pointed out. And now I'm going to blow your bugged mind. And that's the last word. Holy crap, that's a long chapter. 11,000 word. Yeah, I beg my pardon if there is a lot of time before chapters, but I have no time before thinking about the reading more. I'm doing it for fun, not money, nothing. Just doing it whenever I feel like. I have been playing some Planetside, having fun with friends, been drinking a lot of good drinks, and I got to feel like, yeah, I want to read one more chapter. So here I am, reading for everyone that is listening to my YouTube channel, Discord, and everything between. So, see you another time.